Hey guys, welcome to Chapter 2. In Chapter 2 we're going to be talking about Cascading Style Sheets, otherwise known as CSS. We have 4 different parts to this chapter. We have Section 1, which will just be a basics presentation, a slideshow presentation. I just want you to get down the basic syntax of CSS. And in Section 2 we'll start our project. We're going to continue on our Blue Web Developer Directory project. We're going to design the home page. We're going to separate blocks of code and style them via external style sheets. And we'll be looking at more CSS selectors and styling, and finally we'll be looking at the new CSS3 features, and we'll also be working with background images. So what is CSS? It stands for Cascading Style Sheets, and CSS is a style sheet language. It's not a markup or a programming language. It's a style sheet language that is basically used to separate the design from the design and the formatting from the markup or the content of the document. The CSS specifications are maintained by the W3C Worldwide Consortium, and like I said, we've been doing it inline. The reason you want to have an external style sheets, there's a couple of reasons. One is it's just good to separate. It's always good to separate presentation from any kind of content or logic or anything like that. And another thing is it takes the weight, it lowers the file size of the HTML document. It's just a much more efficient and cleaner way to do it. Alright, so you need to link an external style sheet to an HTML document in order for the document to see the CSS. And it's very easy to do. I have an example right here, and it's very important that this be placed in the head tag of the document. The attributes here, rel, href, they can all be in any order that you want. The type attribute isn't needed, but I would definitely suggest that you use it. So we have a link tag, and it's just the link points something else, another file, to the HTML document. And we have the rel tag, and we just want to put style sheet inside of the rel tag. And next we want to add the link to, we want to link the file. So if you have the CSS file in the same folder or area as the HTML document, here you would only need to put file.css or whatever you named it .css. If you have it, in most cases it's in a CSS folder. It's in a folder that's actually named CSS, so it would be css/file.css. And the type just tells it that it's text and it's CSS. This could also be text JavaScript if you were using JavaScript. I would definitely suggest the type attribute. And then here we just have an example of what it would look like in a real web page. We have the head tags. You can see that it's in the head, and then the body continues. So that's how you link a style sheet to a document. Alright guys, so the div and the span elements are used in CSS to separate a certain block of code or a certain element, so you can apply your own style to it. Div and span have no specific meaning, and what that means is, say you have an H1 tag. If whatever you put in the middle of the H1 tags is going to be a heading, and the text will. Alright, so in the last section what we did was we looked at the final product, and we looked at the different parts of the site and the different blocks that we want to separate and style. And you'll see our HTML is all intact, along with all the div tags, the IDs, the spans, the classes. Everything looks good on this side of it. Now what we need to do is start doing some actual styling. Alright, so let's see what we have so far. This is our work in progress, and what it is, it's just the HTML we created along with a tiny bit of CSS styling. And if we go to our style sheet that we created, you'll see the body has some styling. It has text align to the left, font size of 13, the font is Arial, and we have this background image that we added, and we made it repeat X. We made it repeat horizontally. So that's this gradient blue that you see that is repeating horizontally. Now, one thing you might see that's new is this, and what this is it's a wildcard selector, and what it does is it applies whatever styles we put in here to everything on the page, everything in the entire page. And this is used a lot to zero margins out, or to just apply some real base styles. And what I've done is I've text align left, so everything on the page will always be text align left unless I specifically style that element to align right or whatever. And with the margin, I zeroed the margin out on the top and bottom, and what I did is I made it auto on the left and right. And what that will do, it'll put the element in the middle. Margin, if the margin is auto, center. And let's make the font size is obviously going to be bigger than this. Let's say 15 pixels. Save 15. Let's look at this. Alright, let's bold it. So to bold, we want to do font weight. Bold. Save. So now it's bold. So now, of course, we want to separate these. They're all running into each other as they are now. So what we want to do is we want to add some padding. And padding, we don't want any padding on the top. So that's top. The next is right. We want 10 pixels on the right. Nothing on the bottom. Now the left, we want 10 pixels. Save, reload. So now you can see it's taken shape. Now we just want to move these down. And I don't want to do it on the link level. I want to do it on the UL level. So let's say padding top 20 pixels. Save. Let's see that's too far. So let's try 15. When you first get into the CSS and HTML, there's a lot of trial and error. So be prepared for that. See, now that looks like it's too far up, so let's try 18. And there we go, that looks good to me. Yeah. Tiny bit difference from the original, but I'm just going on, as I go. I'm programming as I go, So the next thing, we have the nav bar. Actually, let me just add a tiny bit more padding. Let's do 13 here. Save, reload. Alright, there we go. That's exact. Alright, so the header's done. Menu's done. Next thing we want to do is, I'd say the next thing we should do would be the left menu right here, which is this. So let me see. Let's just look at our HTML real quick. And it looks like it's a div ID called left menu. So if we go to our style sheet, underneath the main menu styles we just created, we want to add left menu. And we're going to pretty much do the same thing that we did with the other menu. We're going to design the core div as well as the unordered list and the links and so forth. So for the left menu div on its own, let's do a margin top of 15 pixels. Save, reload, and it just brings it down a bit. 1 second. Alright. Now the next thing we should do is the width, and the width of it is, I believe, 190 from here to here. So let's do that. Let's do a width 190 pixels. Save. So as you can see, now it's actually doing the auto margin, and we don't want that. So we want to float it to the left. Save. Now it's back to the left. Now the next thing we want to do, let's do the color. And the color is, one second, this is the color. Save, reload. Still looks really crappy, but we're getting there. Now I want to point out something. You'll see here we have these round borders. Now before CSS 3 and before a lot of the new browsers were released, you actually had to use images to get the round corner effect. You'd have to create these divs on each corner and actually have a background image that was the same color as the background to have that effect. And that was just that was really horrible. And I'm so happy that CSS 3 and the new browsers were able to do this much easier. And all we need to do, let's go back here, all we need to do is add the border radius property, and we'll say 10 pixels. Save. Now if you see these corners right here, now they're rounded, and that's just so much easier than using the background images that I used for seems like so many years. So that's that, and now we just want to add some padding. We want to do 15 on the top. I'd say 20 on the right, 5 on the bottom, 10 on the left. Save, reload, and there, we're getting there. Actually, I'm going to add, let's make the bottom 10. There we go. Alright, so that's it for the actual left menu div. Now we want to do the UL in the left menu div. And we want to do a list style none. We want to do, let's just do a padding. Let's zero out the padding. And I think that's it. Let's save that. Alright. Next thing we want to do is actually, you know what, I want to do the heading. This right here, this links, I want to do that. And that's an H3. I want to make that white. And I don't want any padding on that. Actually, yes, I do want padding. I want padding on the bottom only. And I want 8 pixels padding. And let's put a border bottom. We'll do white and solid and 2 pixels. Save that, reload. There's actually, let's make that a little bigger. Font size 16. Alright. Next thing we want to do is the list. Do that right here. So the LI, the lists are each individual line, each individual list item. And we want to do, again, let's just do the list style none just in case. And let's do some padding of 15 pixels. 15, 0, 8, 0. And let's do the border bottom. Border bottom 2 pixels. Dashed. Is it dashed? Yep. This is a dashed border. So dashed. I'm going to do white. Alright, so let's save that. Reload. Actually, we want the 1 pixel dashed. Alright, so now we need to do these links. So let's do left menu A. Alright, so actually we're going to do left menu A, and now I don't know if I mentioned this, but you can add more than one ID or class. Like we could have this, then we could have, say, menu A, you know, all the links in the menu up here, A. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do the left menu A, the left menu links, as well as the left menu links visited. Now you can use this visited, which means links that the person has already clicked on. So sometimes in some browsers, if you don't include this right here, then the links that you've clicked on could actually be a different color than links you haven't, which can get sloppy. So it's just good to attach that, to have that there, and I'm actually going to do that up here as well. So it's just a colon and then visited. Now you could also style hover links that are hovered too, like this. And we will get into that. Alright, so anyway, the left menu links, we obviously want to change the color. Change it. Whoop. My bad. Alright, there we go. And we want to take the text decoration to none. Get rid of those underlines. And let's bold it up. Font weight bold. Okay. Reload. It doesn't look as bold for some reason. Actually, let's bring the font size up. Let's bring it up to 14. I think it's at 13. There we go. There we go. Looking good. Alright, so that's our left menu, and you'll see here we have this kind of drifting over into our menu, but that's just, we gotta do some clearing and floating, and that'll all be fixed. So let's move on. Yeah, so pretty much what we have left is the two content divs. If we go to the finished page, we have this content 1 and this content 2 with the 4 developer divs inside, and that's pretty much it. If we go over to our HTML, you can see the left menu we just did, and then we have these two contents. So let's go to our style sheet and let's start on the content div. Now what do we need here? We have a few things in this content div. We have a heading, we have 2 more headings, we have 2 paragraphs, and we have this image. So what I'm going to do first is make the content display as block, so it's not in line with anything, which doesn't do anything at the moment. And I want to set a width. I want to make the content width 680 pixels. Okay, and I want to add a margin top of 15 pixels, which would be right here. This would be the margin. As I'm pretty sure I explained the difference between margin and padding, is this content's margin would be here to here, its padding would be here to the wherever in. 10 pixels padding would be 10 pixels inward. 10 pixels margin would be 10 pixels outward. So that's pretty much the best I can explain that. Alright, so let's save this, reload. Not much different. Let's float this to the left and save. Okay. What else we got here? Alright, so this is actually, these content